So welcome back. We're going to talk in these segments about pre-inspections and what they're going to look like and why you might want to do one or consider one for your home if you're about to sell. And as you can see, I'm not in a typical place. I'm in Costa Rica, and it's hot here, and you can see the ocean behind me, and the pool is close, and we've got birds that are close, and it's a pretty awesome place to do a recording. Of course, I can't just sit and relax. I need to feel like I'm getting something accomplished. So I'm doing that right now. The first thing I want to talk about is radon as relates to your home. Now, I have a lot of much longer segments about radon, and you might want to check into those if you think that radon might be a problem for you. Let me give you a little bit of background. Radon is a colorless, odorless, radioactive gas like oxygen and nitrogen. It originates naturally, and there's no place on planet Earth that you can go to get away from radon. It's everywhere. It's in the mountains. It's at the ocean. You can go anywhere, and there will be a level of radon. So a typical level of radon is going to be about 1 to 2 picocuries per liter. And then EPA has said that if you get beyond 4, then you should be taking action to reduce the radon level. And that's pretty much what everybody hears. So what you don't hear is that if you are at 4, and this is according to EPA, this is not just Garth speaking, it's just that nobody is very motivated to tell you this. If you're at 4 for 19 hours per day, and you're there in that home 19 hours per day for 72 years, then your risk of dying from radon is about the same as your risk of drowning. That's what you don't hear. So it's very helpful for you to know the radon risks associated with that. To further paint the picture, I have, and since EPA compared it to drowning, as I'm training realtors on this subject, what I will do is I'll tell them, all right, how many of you guys have a boat? And some of them will raise their hand, and I'll ask them, okay, do you realize that having a boat raises your risk of drowning? And the answer is always yes. So then I offer to remediate that risk by eliminating the boat. They still keep the boat payment. I'm just eliminating the risk. And so far, nobody's been willing to take me up on that offer because we understand that having a boat is, there are risks associated with everything we do. So have you be aware of the risks associated with radon. If you live in that space, let's say that you have, the radon level will be in the lowest level of your house, so maybe it's the basement. You're going to want to watch the radon tester because quite often they don't know what they're doing or where they should test. And quite often they might test, for example, in the crawl space. And let me tell you, if somebody's living in the crawl space for 19 hours per day for 72 years, they've got other problems besides radon. So according to EPA guidance, it needs to be done in the lowest living space, roughly 3 feet away from the wall, 3 feet away from the floor, and away from the furnace. In an area, you don't want to put it in a closet where you close the door and that air is just stagnant because you want it to simulate the air that is breathed by a small child living in that space. So have you be aware of that. Now, something else to expect. If your number comes up high, it's not like 3.9 and 4.1 are that much different a number, but in most cases, if you get a 4.1, your buyers are likely to freak and say, okay, now we need a radon mitigation system. And that'll cost you anywhere from $1,500 up, depending on who you call and how many systems they tell you need. So there are systems you can use to find out what your own radon level is. If I were to go out to your home, let's say it's in Salt Lake City, and I was to bring a radon test, I'd charge you $150. And you could get equipment off of Amazon that's usually around $100, and then you've got it. And I like that system because You know, a lot of the radon testing companies out here, they'll bring out a machine that they think is awesome. I do not, and here's why. You can adjust that machine to yield any result you want it to yield. Now, I've read literature, we'll call it that, from radon testing companies, and they will say the average reading in Utah is 4.0. It's interesting they chose that number, and so to me that means that the average home needs to be remediated. I could go on a lot further down the road of radon and why it's perhaps less of an issue than some of the newspapers might want you to think, but that's in short what you need to know about radon. Next up, we'll do roofs.